All right, welcome into another edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mack here on 1010XL's podcast platform at 1010XL.com, of course, on their app as well, and all throughout social media. Of course, you can catch all the great content that is done right here in the 1010XL studios. The show brought to you by my friends at The Carpet Man. Not only great flooring, great carpet, and luxury vinyl planking. The highest quality at the lowest prices. Make sure you check them out before you make a decision. It's great to be here. Great to be alive. It is a Tuesday. It is a work day, so we'll do our best, at least for a little while, to bring you our best. We'll take a quick look around the NFL. We're going to talk Jags, of course. Doug Peterson made some interesting comments about the pass rush. There's rumors that the Jags and the Cincinnati Bengals were trying to get a deal done before the draft with a trade that would involve Jonah Williams to the Jags. You know, Jonah Williams was a high prospect out of Alabama. He got hurt his first year. I think he tore his ACL. He's he's a good player. He's just not a fantastic left tackle. That's why they upgraded him, of course, this offseason. So that's going to be with Orlando Brown Jr. So they kept him, though. They said, hey, be our right tackle. So he's moving over to the right tackle spot. Well, we'll talk about that. Chris Claybrooks. This is really Chris Claybrooks. I don't know if got other people been talking about this. So good morning, Graham. How you doing, brother?
Good morning, sir.
Did you have a good weekend?
I did. How about yourself?
Yeah, same. It's awesome. Went to an unbelievable wedding Saturday night.
Oh, nice.
One of the best bands at a wedding I've ever seen, heard, been to
in
my entire life. Anyway, yeah, I was in at TPC at the clubhouse. Nice. So I was there 2 weeks. It was funny. A couple bartenders were like, "Hey, weren't you here at the J Club?"
right.
Yeah, I was.
You're becoming a regular at it.
Unbelievable. I forget what they were called, and I can't remember all their songs. But man, me and my wife, we danced forever. It was so much fun. Great family wedding. Family friends. So,
good Mother's Day.
Great Mother's Day. Had all the kids, had everybody together, had my mother together, the in-laws. We had dinner, went to the beach. Beautiful beach day.
Oh, it was a fantastic beach day.
Yeah, the beach is just unbelievable. We have some of the best beaches here in Jacksonville. There's no question about it. No rocks, none of that stuff. You know, they got to waddle through. It's just all flat. No
sand and water.
It's sand and water. It's not even like sharp little. Now down in Ponte Vedra, they have some of those sharp shells that are all cracked, and you got to kind of walk on them gingerly. But the rest of the beach, now you got to worry about none of that stuff. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Anyway, Chris Claybrooks, he settles this case. I forgot about it. But here's the thing. When you read, and I'm not trying to diminish the actual what happened, allegedly, okay? So he gets charged with a misdemeanor domestic assault with bodily injury and vandalism. Okay, that's what he was charged with. And the story is he grabbed a phone out of an ex-girlfriend's hand and then threw it to the ground and broke it. And that's not the right thing. Don't get me wrong. That's obviously and I guess her hand got hurt. I don't know the extent of the injury, but her hand got hurt. But when you read the title, you're like, oh my gosh, you're thinking, you know what I mean? And then you read, I'm not trying to...
you think someone's like seriously injured?
Did some domestic violence, beat his, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad I guess he settled the case. That's behind him. Guess you just got to chill out and not grab phones and whip them to the ground. Unless they're your own. You can grab your own, smash it into a million pieces if you want. But nonetheless, he's got that. He's got a spot on this team. There's no doubt about it. He can return punts. He can return kicks if we need. He can cover. I like Claybrooks, and I just felt like, man, the charge, and it just, I don't know. Could explain that a little bit more to the public, you know what I mean, when it happened, and maybe people wouldn't have been like, oh my gosh, what did he do, I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't a bad thing to do. Obviously it was, but especially if she got hurt. But sometimes the crime doesn't always fit the title, I guess. Was my reason of bringing that up. Saquon Barkley, I don't know if he committed a crime, but man, supposedly he turned down a ridiculous contract, $13 million, with a chance to earn up to $14 million a year. He says he wants McCaffrey money, who, of course, is with San Fran now, and he's at $16 million a year. It's amazing, like, and it brings me back to the Lamar Jackson situation, right? Like, he's the highest paid quarterback, but he's not the best quarterback. He's not even top 5 right now, but he's paid like he's the number 1 QB, right? Because he's the highest paid quarterback in the league on a per year deal. That was very important, and they got it done. Saquon Barkley, does he have the same kind of leverage? Like, I mean, you're not McCaffrey. But Saquon's awesome. And when he's healthy, he's really awesome. He's had some injuries, of course, but he's incredible. But you don't put him in the slot like you do McCaffrey. He's not a threat in the passing game as much as McCaffrey. He's a great downhill, he's a workhorse now, and takes it to the house. He's awesome. I'm not saying he's not, but he's not McCaffrey. But can he get McCaffrey money without being McCaffrey? You know what I mean? Kind of like Lamar Jackson. He's obviously a very good player. There's no doubt about it. But he's not the number 1 quarterback in the league. But he's paid like he is. Are they going to be forced into it? Or do running backs can't have that kind of pull today in today's game? You know what I mean? Compared to a quarterback?
They shouldn't.
You wouldn't think.
The Giants could... I mean, I don't think they will, but the Giants could let Saquon walk, and it would change them as a team.
Yeah.
But, maybe you draft the running back next year or something like that.
It's going to be a team.
If the Ravens had lost Lamar,
right,
that changes how their next decade looks.
No doubt. Especially if they don't have a quarterback that does similar things to Lamar.
Right.
If they got to change the whole offense, which they probably wouldn't. So they'd probably find somebody that they could mold into that. But no, I get like that. That was, and we talked about this in the past. You're as an organization, you sit there and you're like, okay, do I do the contract or do I start over? Right? And his contract was a certain level. You look at Daniel Jones, his was way less, but they got it done. And they said the same. It's the same thing. Like, well, you know what? Dable's sitting there going, oh, I like him. I like him in my offense. I think he's going to even be better in my offense, another year and years after. Here's what I think his value is or whatever. Let's figure it out. We figure it out. Done. You know what I mean? And instead of starting over and, being like, look, Anthony Richardson's a great prospect as far as athletically goes, but that's a big risk. I would rather have more of a sure thing going in than a risk like that.
Levis is a huge risk.
They're all pretty much huge risks. By the way, did you see how small Bryce Young looks on video? Holy moly. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it on...
Man, I mean, they're not even in pads, and he looks like your pinky in your hand.
He looks small in college. I'm not super worried about it.
Tiny.
Because there's so many rules set to protect him anyways. I'm not super worried about it. Personally.
I think there should. I think if I'm a defender, obviously you got to have a chance to do it. Just run right through him like you would a door, as hard as you can.
Problem is how many.
Don't hit him in the head. Aim for the chest, but just run like. Don't even tackle him to the ground. Just now there'll be some bounce offs, right? Because you'll miscalculate the timing of that. You know what I mean? They'll bounce off. But if everybody has that kind of mental, that attitude. Just run through them like you would, like a door's in your way. You go right through the door, or in between, in between the studs and the drywall. There's a soft spot in. You go right through that if you run hard enough.
I just think 15 years ago there would have been a lot more cause to be concerned about his size, but there's so many rules in place to protect
move him around,
him.
and the game's moved around,
and like the NFL. The NFL has literally said we're protecting QBs. Like they're literally trying to avoid.
But, look, on the other side of that, you look at Trevor. He's massive, but we don't want him taking hits when he takes off and runs. Compared to Josh Allen, where you're like, well, that guy's a little bit thicker. Maybe can take a couple.
Josh Allen needs to be smarter with the way he runs, though. He's hurt. He's stayed relatively healthy. I don't know he's hurdling
anymore. I mean, after a couple times, wouldn't you figure it out? Okay, he's going to try to hurdle me,
and he's trucking linebackers. Yeah. That's going to catch up to him at some point.
Yeah. Well, he'll hopefully always have his arm. He's got a rocket of arm. Did you see the rockets he sent out in that softball game, batting practice? He was launching bombs. It's pretty cool to see. But anyway, we'll look. If I don't know. I was thinking of who did I see in the news? Le'Veon Bell. Remember Le'Veon Bell? Didn't get what he wanted in a contract. Sat out a year and never did. Well, he got a contract again, but
he went to the Jets after. But he was never the same. He was never the same guy.
But he was never the same. Now he's boxing. He's into the fight game. But you know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. He was a stud. I love the way he played. He was an incredible player. And then
running back's not a position that you can just not play for a year and come back and be the same guy. A running back doesn't work that way. And Le'Veon was a phenomenal player, but and then typically the team. The other thing is Le'Veon had the luxury when he was really good of being in a really good offense. Yeah. Not only was he good, but his offensive line was good. Big Ben was good. They had Antonio Brown.
No doubt. And he was special and good out of the backfield too.
He was
great pass catcher.
Typically, if you're like a running back like that and you're trying to get paid big dollars, a team that's got a bunch of other stars to pay isn't going to want to pay you. You're going to be going to a team that's not as good like the Jets were at the time.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you're irrelevant, completely irrelevant.
Well, the Giants started, I think, around 12 and a hook per year for Saquon. So they've upped it. So see, hopefully look, he's a great player. I'd want him on my team. I mean, I would. I mean, if I had to pick between the best QB or the best running back, I would take the best quarterback, obviously. But if I'm the Giants, I definitely want him on a team. All right, so it's only a rumor, but it was reported that the Jags took a run at Jonah Williams or tried to at least have discussions with Cincinnati to maybe trade for him before the draft or during the draft or what have you. What does that mean? I don't know. I mean, is that, I think they're taking Anton Harrison regardless. You know what I mean? Even if they did trade for Jonah Williams. Did they want maybe a veteran in that, position while the young kid, learns and grows? Or does it, I don't know. He played left tackle for the Bengals. Well, you thinking you're bringing him in here at left tackle and letting him and Walker Little battle it out for the starting spot? If, again, it's just a report. I don't know. I thought Jonah Williams was going to be a really, really good player coming out of Bama. And he did get hurt his rookie year. He hurt his knee, and he's just all right. I don't know if I feel that comfortable with him, protecting my QB's blind side, but he's solid. He's a serviceable type.
It's Cam Robinson.
I take Cam over him.
Cam's probably a little bit better.
I take Cam over him.
I agree that Cam's probably a little better, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's fair.
He's not the stalwart that you expected you were drafting.
Right.
And Jonah Williams went in the top 10, right?
Yeah, he was. And he was great.
Cam was a second-round pick, so it's a little more expectations met.
Yep.
But how do you feel about that in terms of quarterback is different? Put quarterback aside.
Yeah.
Every other position, I feel like once you get to the NFL, as great as it is to have veteran leadership around you, at some point you just got to be thrown to the wolves. Like Walker Little, for example, because there's been veteran guys ahead of him.
Yeah.
We're kind of still in year 3 sitting here like, has there been a full-time starter? Is he fully? We're kind of still sitting here.
But see, that's the thing. That's what I'm getting at is look, nothing happens in the NFL without reason.
Yeah.
They don't just make decisions just, let's just try this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's something there about Walker Little. They like him. I know they like him, but I think there's just something. They never come out and say, no, he's our left tackle.
Yeah.
He's our guy. When Cam comes back, we'll figure it out. But he's the left tackle going in. We know Anton is going to start at right tackle because during the rookie minicamp, which was last week, that's where they had him at, which is fine. Whatever. I just find it interesting that, that rumor came out that they drafted a tackle. Cam's coming back, and you still, what's missing? Why isn't? I mean, he's drafted in the second round. Walker Little should be my starter right now in ink, in left or right. I don't care. And then the Harrison, the young man, he can go to the other, whatever. If he's a left tackle, then he's a left tackle. I don't care. But I just find it interesting that it's not, and it hasn't been.
And this kind of dates back to last season.
Yeah.
When, there's kind of the same sort of talks about, who might start where at tackle and all that. And Walker Little, last year for the cap situation, the perfect scenario would have been Cam stays at left, Walker beats Juwan out at right, and then Juwan walks after last year. And remember, Trent Baalke came out, and don't forget about Juwan. Juwan's been fantastic. We love Juwan. That goes to your point. It's like, if they felt that good about Walker Little, would the GM be sitting here gassing up the other guy?
No.
Yeah, you're right.
But here's the thing with any player. You have the potential, and then you got the production. And if the production's below the potential, they start, after a couple of years, they're like, well, when's that, because athletically, physically, everything, he's got it. I mean, he's as big as Baselli. He moves like Baselli, almost as good as Baselli. He moves really well. He's very flexible. He should be a dominant type player.
Hasn't one of his things, I mean, I don't know that much about offensive line play, but I've heard one of his big issues is he lets contact come to him. He doesn't initiate a lot.
We've talked about that. I thought he got better at that. Early in his career, he was absorbing the block instead of dictating where that defender's going to go, or at least trying to. So I think Phil Roscher's cleaned that up a lot. And I still look, I mean, for Walker, I've said it before, this is his year to really do something. Like, hey, man, you get one of those. I don't care when Cam comes back, what's the deal? It doesn't matter. You take that, but you win that position. Then they can figure out Cam later. You know what I mean? And this is your year. You had to give him a little bit of time, because remember, he played as a rookie or a freshman at Stanford and was phenomenal. Then tore his ACL, then opted out of COVID, then got drafted in the second round. Right? So but now it's time.
You drafted a really raw prospect.
You did. Very raw.
But when he played, you're right. Dude looked like Baselli. Yeah. Like, he was insane.
Unbelievable.
But you're absolutely right about things in the NFL happen for a reason. And for us that are on the outside looking in, it's easy for us to say, well, why isn't this happening, or this happening, or this happening? But you've been in an NFL locker room. You understand, like, okay, the coaches are seeing something that's giving them pause with Walker Little. Is it in the weight room? Is it on the practice field when media's not there? Like, what? There's something there that makes Doug Peterson and Phil Rauscher say, I'm not ready to be 100% in a Walker Little being one of my starters.
Now, in Walker's defense, he played pretty well last year.
He did. He played really well.
Yeah, he played well. So I look forward to seeing him grow even more. I think Phil Rauscher's just that kind of coach that'll get everything out of him, technique-wise. And a lot of it is technique. It doesn't mean he doesn't want it, doesn't mean he doesn't kid. It's none of that. A lot of it's just technique. I remember when Cam first came here, even the first couple of years, standing next to Baselli at camp, he's like, yeah, man, his feet and hands they're not good enough. Like, you got to have really good hands and really good feet. And hands meaning just being able to punch really strong with one hand and being able to stop somebody, or at least pause them for enough time to get your other hand up there. So a lot of it is technique, but we'll see. Look, again, it's going to be, who are we to say? Last year I thought it was the weak link going in. They ended up being one of the stronger units of the entire team, the offensive line, right? I mean, they really did. They came on they played real overall. Sorry to cut you off. They played very, very well last year.
Particularly if Anton Harrison pans out to be a pretty good player.
Yep.
I think they've got really good depth on the offensive line, considering the type of depth you can normally expect to have in the NFL.
Yep.
I think they've got great depth. It's just there's not like a clean starting five. There's not like an obvious, this guy has this position.
Well, if Cam wasn't hurt, I guess you would. Anton would be your right, and then everybody else is, Shatley's your guard, or Ben when he comes back, if he when he comes back healthy, But that's all going to be. We know Fortner, Scherf, and Harrison right now are center to right all the way through, right?
That's true. Yeah, the interior is pretty locked up. You're right.
And then Shatley's there unless somebody can beat him out. Who knows? The guy, he's a scrapper, man.
And that's the thing about it. Between Shatley and, I would assume right now, once Cam gets back, it's Walker Little. How many teams can say that they have a swing guard / center and a swing tackle that doesn't start that they feel great about?
Yeah, right.
That's rare, man.
Yeah.
Like, either tackle could go down and you plug Walker Little in, I feel fine.
Yeah.
Any of the guard and you put Shatley in, I feel fine.
Right.
How many teams can say that? That's rare.
Depth is very good. Well, speaking of depth, as we're gonna wrap up the show on this subject, Doug Peterson has come out and said regarding the Jaguars pass rush, you're always looking, but we've got some young players we are excited about, and I'll paraphrase the rest, and we have good depth as well. So the guys that are out there that I think would be Floyd, I think Floyd's gonna be too much money. I'd love for him to be here, but it doesn't sound like they're gonna look just yet or do anything just yet. And they do have some young guys. I mean, obviously Trayvon. I'm curious, especially since they drafted the kid Ventrell Miller. I'm curious if Devin Lloyd gets more shots at that 3-4 outside backer. You know what I mean? Being able to stand up and rush. He did that a lot at Utah. So I'd like to – I don't know. He's kind of built for it. I'd like to see him maybe do it, see if he's got it. But, you look at the young guys, right? Of course, they got 3 rookies. Tyler Lacey, who's more of a D end. Yasir Abdullah, who's led the ACC in pressures last year as an outside backer, and DJ Coleman's listed as an outside backer. How about that? 6'5", 283-pound outside linebacker. Yikes. Jordan Smith's a guy. They're maybe he's part of that young group that they're excited about. This is his 3rd year, right? I was
going to say, this is probably his last chance.
He's got to do it. Well, sometimes it takes
he got hurt last year.
He got hurt twice, didn't he? Practice squad 1 year and they got hurt last year, or got hurt both years and ended up on the practice squad?
Practice squad rookie year just because practice squad. And then he had a season ender in, I think, OTAs last year.
Yeah. Was it that early? He got hurt early.
It was really early.
It was really like
it was a knee or something, and it was one of those where he went down.
Well,
and
man, I hope he's healthy, and I hope he can at least give it a really good shot. See what he's got. 6'6", 250 for Jordan Smith. They got plenty of depth. There's no doubt. Of course, with Foley, Devon, and RRH. I met him, by the way, at the J Fun. Nice guy, Roy. He played golf out there at the J Fun.
He's getting into golf.
Oh, is he?
He's really breaking it down this summer.
Okay, I like it. Jeremiah Ledbetter's a massive human being. Let's see what he can do. I mean, they've got some depth. They brought in Mondo and Dogby. Dogby, I think his last name is. Sorry, Michael. And then we know our guys that are here, Gotsis included. So you roll with that. I don't know. You got Frank Clark, you got Yannick, you got Leonard Floyd, you got Justin Houston. Houston says he wants to go back to Baltimore. He just missed out on like a $500,000 bonus on he thought he had 10 sacks and they ruled it a half a sack, so he didn't get the 500.
That sucks.
Yeah, the way he's like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I was like, man, you're that's a solid soul right there. But he may be my number one if you had to pick out of all of them. I think with Yannick, Yannick will still give you 8 to 10 sacks. Just think there's too much tread left, I don't know. And then Frank Clark, he would be my third. I don't think Floyd will fit. I think you have to pay him way too much money. I don't think and you do want Trayvon Walker to be your guy. You kind of want a Justin Houston that comes off the bench and rushes on passing downs. You don't want a guy that is going to want to play 3-4 outside backer every single down, because you got him in Trayvon Walker. So that's going to be interesting. Look, now we go in this year with the pass rush as the weak link. So let's put that onus on them and maybe they'll end up being the best unit. Like
it better be
like the old line,
or it better be at least serviceable. Because I'm telling you, no matter how good of a season they have, and it'd be really fun if they have a great season and win the division and all that.
Yep.
But if they play Kansas City or Cincinnati or Buffalo or whoever in the playoffs, and that QB gets to sit back there and have a cup of coffee while he sits there and scans the field, they're going to get picked apart again. They better get to the quarterback, or else you can kiss a deep playoff run
goodbye. I agree. I agree about that. They were terrible on third down, and they didn't hit the quarterback enough. And Doug knows that. I mean, that was a big problem for them. They got better towards the end of the year. We got to give them credit there. They did. And the guys that they re-signed, they're hoping that's the way they're going to play moving forward. And not prior to that, which wasn't terrible, it just wasn't good enough. I mean, there were games, remember, 70% on third down. There was at least 2. The opener against Washington was 70%. Then there was another one like 4 or 5 games later. You're like, you can't give up third down, 70% on third down. You don't win. You can't win. Your offense never get the freaking ball. They never have a chance to score. And the other team just keeps on moving and moving and moving. And anyway, that's got to get better. I agree with you. Again, I mean, you're rolling with Trayvon Walker as a guy that's walking into his second year that you're expecting big things out of. And it's okay. That's why you drafted him, right? And I think if we turn on the tape, we'd all agree it wasn't too bad, but it just wasn't what we had hoped. And we looked at the kid up in Detroit and compared and be like, that's what we wanted, and we got this. But I think if you turn on the tape, I think overall you would probably feel pretty good about Trayvon Walker. And now year 2, he should be even better. He should be even better.
After OTAs, when they have that little bit of a gap before training camp starts, the best news I could hear from Trayvon is that he's spending time with either a retired guy or an older guy that has spent a ton of time in the league, has got a whole bag of pass rush moves, and he's just learning moves. Because the aggression, the physical abilities,
he's got
all that is there.
Yeah.
The problem right now is there's no craftiness to his game.
Right.
It's just
pure raw
It's just
talent.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
Let me just bull rush everything.
Smash
and there needs to be a little bit more craftiness.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he, in the offseason, he's been working on his hands with some martial arts people. That's number one.
Well, last year,
D. Lyman should do that all day long.
Last year, I think he and Josh Allen spent time with Robert Mathis.
Yeah. Who's got a great...
Get back with him.
Yeah.
That guy's got moves.
He's great. And he had Freeney on the other side, which shows you how important that was. And by the way, Mathis played at like 235. Was not a big guy, 6'2", 235. And he was very fast, but he wasn't Dwight Freeney fast, who ran like a 4.4. And he was like 6'1", 260.
Had a deadly spin move, too.
Oh, those guys together were incredible. That's why you need the other side to work out for you. And their interior helps out, too. You know, we saw it. We saw it with Josh Allen, with Calais, his rookie year. That you see it all across the league.
You know who we haven't mentioned who's kind of in limbo because of the injury is Smoot.
Yeah.
Is
he even on the team, though? Or is he just a free agent right now?
I believe
he's a free agent.
I believe he's like rehabbing and stuff with the Jaguars, though, even though he's not like
good.
But man, if you can get that guy, I know it was the Achilles late in the year, devastating.
Yeah.
If you can get that guy back healthy at some point and playing like he was. Man, he was one of your best D linemen, man. He was really good.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Smoot fan.
I like we've always liked you and I. We've talked about him a lot.
We're Team Smoot. This is a pro Smoot podcast.
He's Duval all the way. Tough, gritty, hard working, just getting after it type guy.
Never
different things.
Never a problem. Fits right in. He shuts up and produces. Man.
Yeah, not as young as the running back Cam Akers, right? He tore the Achilles and then came back. So
James Robinson.
Yeah, J-Rob, yeah. So you can, obviously a little bit older, but you can come back from that. Today's day and age, the way they fix those things. I mean, think about the knee. It used to be a career killer. You tear your ACL back in the 60s, 70s, or maybe even 80s, your career's done. Most likely over.
Yeah.
The way they just didn't know what the hell.
Now it's like 8-9 months. You're back, man. Yeah. You're back and ready to roll.
Yeah, and it's better than your other knee.
Achilles is more like a year.
Yeah, so it's fragmented when it tears, right?
Yeah, so
the ACL is like almost like it does fragment a little bit, but a lot of times it'll just rip.
It's almost more like breaking a bone, where if it's a clean break, you can almost kind of
if a rupture of the Achilles, it's like
yeah.
My buddy was telling me about it. Like, how do you piece that? He's like, just piece it together.
It's like a giant rubber band, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, so I agree. Smoot could be a nice addition that we haven't been speaking about. And look at, they've got a lot of D linemen and outside backers. There's going to be some good battles for the team. Now, good thing for the young guys, this practice squad. Gosh, you can have so many on the practice squad now, which is great. It's great. Gives the young men a job, and learning their ways through the National Football League, and hopefully with a shot to get on the active roster and be an active player. But they're going to have plenty of competition for that. I still would like to see, Houston would be my number one. I think Yannick would be two. You just got to, have a conversation with him and the owner, son.
Who he is as a player, though.
Oh, yeah, he'd be perfect.
If you're just talking player, God, it's a hand and glove fit, man.
Yeah, he wants a lot of Johnny, but I don't blame him.
But a third and 6 against the Chiefs.
Yep.
I got to get to Mahomes as quickly as possible, and I don't want to send it. I don't want to send a house.
Right.
I need DBs.
Yep.
That guy.
Houston can do it too.
Oh, 100%.
He's phenomenal
100%.
in that role off the bench. And he's a little bit bigger, too, so he can play the run a little bit bigger.
And unlike 17, because I got Trayvon now, I don't need Unique to play on any rundowns.
No, I agree.
I need third and distance, and I know they're throwing the ball, and I got to pin my ears back and get to the QB.
Yeah. Get me 12 sacks.
Oh, please.
Yeah. It all comes down to De Niro.
And it's the
little get down to the money.
We've already talked about this. It's the little subtle things like that, in my opinion, that make this, in my opinion, good team potentially great.
Yeah.
Right now, this team might be in line to be third or fourth seed in the playoffs and something like that. You want to become 1 seed, get to the QB.
Well, if you get to QB, yeah.
You want to make deep runs in the playoffs, get to the QB.
No doubt.
The offense is there, in my opinion.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
And watch how good that secondary is going to look if you're sacking the quarterback.
Without a doubt.
They're going to look fantastic.
Way better.
You're going to be like, when did Darius Williams become Jalen Ramsey? He's going to look amazing if you're getting to the quarterback.
Absolutely. Well, from what Doug says, or at least recently, they're looking forward to seeing what these young kids can do. And then we'll go from there. There's a reason these guys are still out there. So maybe you just got to wait it out a little bit more, and the price comes down a little bit more, and then you play that game, because then you get into camp and someone gets hurt, then the price goes up. Supply and demand. But it should be a fun one. All right, that'll do it for me this time around. For us, Graham Marsh, my producer, of course, and Tommy Mack here on Catching Up with Tommy Mack. Be back on Friday after Jaguars today, and we'll enjoy talking ball some more then. Until next time, stay safe and be cool out there, and we'll check you out right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mack. Peace.